be a woman, and a woman's spouse must be a man. They never defined marriage to be between same sex. He even went further to say that any marriage that the spouse will not be, any marriage of a man that the spouse will not be a woman is void. So, Mr. Speaker, what are we talking about advocating for same-sex marriage in the name of human rights? Mr. Speaker, what then is human right? Mr. Speaker, human rights, basic human rights and freedom. Human rights are basic rights and freedom that belong to every person in the world, from birth until death. So, Mr. Speaker, with the issue relating to the transgender, are they saying that because I am born a man, I am not given the opportunity as a man to transgender to be a woman?
That was Ranking Member on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, Bernard Ahiafo. And the Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, is urging women who are compelled by their husbands to undergo oral and anal sex to report to the police for assistance. The legislator indicated that some wives have been threatened with divorce by their husbands over failure to partake in such sexual acts, hence the need for the proposed bill to address such concerns.
For the avoidance of doubt and for the information of all Ghanaians, oral sex, anal sex, regardless of whether it is between man and man, or woman and woman, is illegal under our law. So if there's anybody who is practicing oral sex or anal sex today on a man or a woman, please note that what you're doing is against the existing law of this country because it is a natural carnal knowledge. And so I will urge any woman, any young girl who is being subjected to any such practice under the guise of heterosexual sex to know that what she is being asked to do is against our law and to seek help from the police to stop that act from happening. Mr. Speaker, oral sex is a natural carnal knowledge. Anal sex is a natural carnal knowledge. Use of sex toys is a natural carnal knowledge. Whether you do it on a man or a woman, and we need to recognize that and enforce the law of the land as it stands today.
Ursula Owusu-Ekufo is Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West. Let's still stay on this matter because the lead advocate of the promotion of proper sexual human rights and Ghanaian family values bill, Samuel Nati George, says most Western countries that endorsed same-sex marriage have been faced with the depletion of their workforce. The lawmaker says most of the Western countries are offering migration opportunities to Ghanaians to be able to replace their workforce as a result of the act.
Honorable Ahia, for his submission, said in 50 years there will be migration. Well, he doesn't need to wait 50 years. It's happening today. He says they'll be extinct. In fact, extinction comes when they lack people. Currently, most of the Western countries are attracting our finest brains here and offering migration programs to bring people in there because their workforce has been depleted. They have an overage population. Because, Mr. Speaker, like it is attributed to Robert Mugabe, if you put two men in a room and give them 12 months to produce as an offspring, they cannot produce an offspring. And so, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to stand here. But let me use this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to celebrate Mr. Speaker, who has been a stalwart and a bastion for this bill. But for Mr. Speaker, this bill would most likely have been killed. Mr. Speaker has stood his ground and ensured that this bill has come this far. And I want to use this opportunity with the support of my colleague members of Parliament, since we all support this bill, to serve notice to the Western powers that we have taken judicial notice of what they have done to the Speaker of Uganda. after Uganda passed the bill, the sanctions on the Speaker of Uganda's Parliament and on the sponsors of those bills, we will serve notice as well that if they replicate same with our Speaker and members of Parliament, we will also take action against their business interests in our country. Because they serve in this country and make money from here and take back home. They cannot hold us to ransom. And like has been asked on this floor, Mr. Speaker, why is it that the American Secretary of State has not sanctioned the Secretary of Defense? Because June was declared Pride Month and they had transgender parades. The U.S. Secretary of Defense blocked and stopped a transgender parade on a U.S. Air Force base because he said the U.S. Pentagon, which is their defense headquarters, would not support such activity. Governor DeSantis has passed legislation against open transgender parades in Florida. Why have they not taken on their own citizens?
So you heard Sam George, Member of Parliament for Nigo Pram, and indeed is one of the key proponents of the bill. He joins us on the line for further conversation on this matter. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. So Parliament has begun debate on the matter. Can you tell us where this puts us in the process of legislation as far as the law enactment route is concerned? Where do we go from here?
Good evening, Salom. We have completed the debate of the committee's report. And so second reading is literally done. Now what we have to do is the consideration stage, which is where we will take the amendments that have been proposed by the committee to the bill. The good thing is most of these amendments are amendments that were discussed extensively with us as sponsors, and so there's agreement between the sponsors and the committee on about, I'll say, 95% of the amendments that have been proposed. So we have a few amendments that will just be brought on the House. About 5% of them will have a debate on them because the committee takes a view, as sponsors we take a different view. But largely, once we are done with those clause-by-clause considerations, you have the third reading and then the bill is passed.
I see. So what will you say are some of the major amendments that this bill is likely to see based on your engagement with stakeholders?
Well, there are no major amendments. Most of them are consequential. For example, in the short title, removing Ghanaian and proper in the short title of the bill. So it reads the promotion of family values, of sexual rights and family values bill, because there's an argument that every law passed in Ghana is Ghanaian anyway, so there's no need for Ghanaian to be in the law. So those are some of the things. And then I think one of the biggest ticket items you may talk about will be the fact that we have taken out the issue of intersex. Because if you look at that, it is not an
it's not an acquired trait. It's
because
it's natural,
in the original bill,
biological.
In the original bill, it is actually exempted and not criminalized. If you take the original bill, when we list all the things that are criminal and all the expressions, we state intersex and state an exemption for it. So the decision is, instead of stating it in the bill and creating an exemption, take it out completely. So that's what was done. So that's why I said it's not substantial to the body of the bill. On the issue of financial cost to the state, a conversation was had around that, and we decided that, okay, fine. Many of the churches and CSOs already provide medical support to people who need that support without it being legislated. So there's a portion that talks about providing medical care to persons who wanted help. We would rather provide them access to that help without necessarily stating it in the bill, so that doesn't become the basis for any challenge and saying that it could attract costs to the state.
Wow. So as it stands now, there is no provision for persons who may be caught in this web, who may need medical assessment. There's no medical assessment. There's no such provision in the bill. And you're saying that you're taking it off?
No, slow down.
Okay.
Slow down. There is a proposed amendment to take out medical support for persons engaged in the act who during prosecution claim that they want help, which is something that was in the bill originally. Victims, support for victims, children who are molested, or persons who are molested by individuals still enjoy their protection. So those protections still remain. What is being taken away is there used to be a clause that would, or which is being proposed to be, and don't forget, it's a proposal. It must make its way through the floor of the House, was for us to provide support such that it would even affect sentencing. And the argument became that anybody at all could just jump on that bandwagon when they see that they are facing prosecution and say, I need help. So to make sure that that whole arrangement is tidier and cleaner, we've taken that out. But children, persons under the age of 18 who are victims will still get their protection.
And that will not, burden the state. That will not place on the state a financial burden, as
Absolutely not.
That will not place on the state in a financial burden.
The way it has been structured will not attract any cost to the state. And most of that support already exists. That's the point we're making. And so when a person is a victim, there's support that is readily available. That doesn't even come from the state. Don't forget that we have a huge cadre of Christian health facilities that support persons already who need this help. Just this week, we have had to assist an individual who reached out to us. And the requests come every day. So you don't need the bill to continue doing something that you already do.
I see. So how about the talk about, you punishing persons who may advocate the cause of LGBT? And then, of course, there was this talk about it infringing on a person's freedom of speech, right to free speech, for example. Is that also going to see any amendment? Is there any proposed amendment to that as well?
In fact, that is the most punished offense in the bill. That's the most punished offense in the bill. Promotion, propaganda, support, and advocacy of LGBTQ attracts a stiffer punishment than even being caught in the act. And so there is absolutely no backing down on that. We intend to carry that out. It would apply to even media houses like you. You would have to, by all means, ensure that the content you put out is not promoting, advocating, or propaganda material of LGBTQ. So you need to be careful. You have a TV station, the TV movies you put out, the children's cartoons that you put out, the material that you put out. You must exercise editorial policy to ensure that it is clean and sanitized. And this is not going to be an infringement of free speech. As we speak today, I listen a lot to DJ Mingle and a few of the other DJs. When DJ Mingle is playing certain songs, because of the broadcasting laws in Ghana, he plays the radio edit. He doesn't play the raw version of the song because there are words, just words, mere words in the original version of the song that are not wholesome for radio. You exercise editorial discretion to take out and make sure that DJ Mingle only plays the radio edit. That is not an infringement of your freedom of expression and freedom of speech, is it?
You also recorded no dissent in the debates today in Parliament. But in your interactions with your colleagues on the floor and elsewhere, do you feel that this is a genuine reflection of the sentiments of MPs, or it is as a result of the fear of public backlash that you think some dissenting voices on the matter may face, and so these voices got subdued? Do you have that impression?
If you are not bold enough to take a stand for something that you believe in, then what you believe in is suspect. So if you say anybody was afraid to take a stand for what they believe in, then anything you are afraid to let your neighbor know you are engaged in is criminal and offensive to society. So it should not be something that should be said of any honorable member of the House. So I would take it that while there was no dissent, genuinely all honorable members of the House support the bill and are not engaged in activities that they wouldn't want their neighbors to find out about.
I listened to Esla Owusu-Ekufu, the honorable member from Ablekuma West, I think, and she made a point about natural carnal knowledge in support of the bill, and she makes the case that anal sex even among couples. I mean, man and female, is considered unnatural, and a whole lot. And she also made a case that the use of sex toys is also unnatural. Is there an assertion you agree with? I mean, in terms of the use of sex toys, do you share the same opinion that also constitutes unnatural carnal knowledge?
Well, my opinions on natural and unnatural carnal knowledge have found full expression in the bill. The Honorable Esla Ekufu is a member of the Constitutional Parliamentary Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. She's at liberty to file amendments when we get to the consideration stage to reflect any views she may hold, or she can even bring her own private member's bill. But for me, I'm comfortable with what has been expressed in the bill.
Because I asked because there appears to be a booming industry which deals in sex toys. And so if the use of these objects, are frowned upon by the law, then what business do they have still having their shops open?
If you have read the law doesn't say what you are saying.
Because the law, in essence, talks about unnatural carnal knowledge.
And the law goes on to specify acts that have been prescribed. So it is not an omnibus thing. It's not a morality law. The law has specific items that have been criminalized. There are specific acts that have been criminalized in the bill before Parliament. And so if anybody wants to add anything, tell them you want to add anything, speak to your MP to file an amendment at the consideration stage. But you cannot extrapolate or think into being what you think that is not in the law and say it is in the law.
Thank you so much, the Honorable Sam George, and thank you so much for all the job you do for the people of Ghana and specifically for the people of Nigo Pram as far as this particular one is concerned. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We've been also joined on the line by Reverend Ntim Forjo, who is the Deputy Education Minister, and indeed appears to be the only a member of the ruling party side in Parliament that was part of the proponents. He joins us on the line for a few comments on this matter. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. You should certainly be happy that this bill has finally seen the day of debate and moving to the next stage.
Thank you very much, Salom. Indeed, this is a great milestone in the process leading up to the passage of a bill that the whole of Ghana is looking forward to. The young, the old, across all religious sects and beliefs, traditional rulers, everyone unanimously support this position that it is a single legislation that will be remembered in history and is formidable and is going to stand the test of time, and several generations will come to remember this legislation as one. That's to protect the sanctity and dignity of the peoples of our land, our traditional values, our beliefs, and our norms as a people. And so we're thankful to God that we've been able to have the second reading done. Now, subsequently, we're going to have the consideration stage and then eventually the third reading. And we just can't wait to get it passed.
I recall when your name came up as one of those pushing for the bill. I mean, some of your colleagues were not so happy about the fact that you were part of the team of minority MPs trying to push this. But, how did it happen in the end that we have all your colleagues now supporting this bill? What went on behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I don't recall any point where any of the members of parliament, both NDC and MPP, expressed any kind of reservation or any position contrary to what unanimously had been taken on the matter of LGBT. If you recall, somewhere exactly on 25th of August, 2017, that was in the 7th Parliament, that was the first time that I raised this matter in a press release. Citi, FM, Citi TV, and all media stations supported. They carried it widely. It became a big legislative matter at the time. Subsequently, I followed up with a statement to Parliament on the floor, and it was unanimously supported by both majority and minority, NDC, MPP, both sides of the aisle. The Speaker at the time supported, the Deputy, every leadership supported. And so that conversation has progressed to a point in the 8th Parliament where a private member's bill was occasioned. And I'm very proud to say that the co-sponsors of this bill, the great work they've done, my good brother Sam George, Honorable Sam George, Honorable Emmanuel Bedra, Honorable Helena Ntonso, Honorable De La Soa, and all the other co-sponsors who joined myself. We've all together as a teamwork who co-sponsored this bill. We're very grateful for the bold step that they've taken. But we also see that there is a private member's bill that not all 275 members of parliament will be able to sign up. Of course, you would need a few to co-sponsor it. And then when it comes to, even at committee level, it was a bipartisan, unanimous approval. There was no dissenting whatsoever. Both sides of the aisle at the committee level agreed. We sought the opinion of the Attorney General, which even came to enrich the position of our private members' bill, and eventually came to the floor of Parliament for second reading. So the entire Parliament has been carried along, and the position of the law that we are legislating is a true reflection of what the good people of Ghana stand for. You recall the CDD survey that was conducted that indicated that a significant 86% of people in this country will support the bill that we're sponsoring. So today is good news. It is a milestone. It is a win situation for the whole of Ghana, for MPP, for NDC, for every political party, for both sides of the aisle. It is a big victory for society. And so it is not something that any particular political party or member of parliament or just a small section can take credit for, because we also recognize the strong support and contribution of the religious community, the clergy, Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Ghana Christian Council, the Catholic Bishop Conference, all the Muslim Umbrella Association of our Islamic brothers and sisters, all traditional rulers. Every belief system found expression strongly in this position taken. It is not a religious law. It is not just a matter of morals, but it's a product of an intellectual consultation, which very, very interestingly does not violate, no portion of the bill violates any portion of the Constitution of Ghana, neither does any portion of our bill violate any international treaty or Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So this is a great position, boldly expressed, and it's a collective victory. What we are saying is that the advocacy for and promotion of and the propaganda of LGBT and its related activities, they are proscribed, and so must they be. And the position of the law strengthened to adequately deal with the fluidities and the gray areas around it.
Very well. There are people who think that, this is a good law, but we will be fighting a losing battle, because it is just a matter of time that Ghana will eventually be engulfed in this practice as well, because it's something that is running across the whole world, and Ghana on its own cannot be an island, no matter the stringent nature of your laws. So, for example, we consume movies. Of course, Sam George has spoken about the part about advocacy, etc. But do we have the bandwidth as a people to monitor TV stations, even this day and age, social media, WhatsApp messages that may seek to propagate, videos that may seek to propagate the practice we are prescribing now? Do we have that bandwidth?
This bill that we are soon going to pass into law is one that is formidable. It's one that has come to stay. It's one that is relevant today, and it's one that is going to be relevant in the next 500, 800, 900 years. It is not something I foresee being overturned. If there's any portion of it that will even be amended in the future, it's going to be one that will enhance further the position and even make it more robust in dealing with what as a people we prescribe. It's not something that is going to wash away. So it's for this generation, the future generations to come. Ghana is not going to be an island, because there are many countries that have similar legislation. Our good brothers in the Gulf region, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, you can name them, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, and many other countries that are not even in Africa. They have similar laws, legislations that mirror the position that we have taken. and those legislations have stood the test of time. And so Ghana is not going to be the first to take this position. And definitely this is formidable and is going to survive. So we are not doing anything peculiar and novel. It is something that is a practice, a legislative practice that is practiced in many very notable countries. And so what we are saying and what we always say is that this is not a diplomatic battle, neither must this become must this occasion any diplomatic brawl, because each country is sovereign and each country has the liberty to pass laws that reflect the ideals and values of their people. And so oftentimes when we had even disagreed with people, our brothers in the West, who have even in some cases accepted some part of LGBT, some even United States, for instance, it's not across all the states that have accepted LGBT. There are some states now you can in the United States today which abhor and prescribe LGBT. And so what we're saying is that even for those ones who have unanimously accepted various elements of LGBT in their laws, it's not being unanimous. It is a law position they've taken, but you still find a good number of their people dissenting. But nonetheless, there's a law they've taken, and every other country in the spirit of good neighborliness and mutual respects the position they've taken. So when they travel there, they do as the laws have determined. Much the same way, we have taken this position which reflects our ideals and norms and beliefs, and it does not in any way violate any international treaty. In much the same way, in reciprocity, we expect that even if any country in the West does not agree with our position, they must respect what the majority and overwhelming majority of the people have expressed as what we want and what we want to go by, and therefore must not ruffle any feathers in our trade, in our diplomatic relations or friendliness whatsoever. And therefore, we expect that they make pronouncements that are decent, that are respectful, and that will further enhance the already cordial relations we have with them.
The danger many people fear is that, of course, the bill does not prescribe mob justice, and things like that in dealing with the problem. The bill actually deals with due process. But, not everybody will read the bill. Are you not worried that some persons in society may begin to exert their own forms of discipline or mob justice on suspected practitioners of this practice? Of course, the police will arrest those people taking the law into their own hands, but it might be too late. They may have caused harm to people before the police arrest them. Are you not concerned or worried about that?
The Constitution, relevant portions of the Constitution, Article 14, Article 17, Article 33, various portions speak to the liberties, freedom, and the human rights that must be protected. And definitely that is what this bill seeks to address. Yes, like other laws which have prescribed theft, which have prescribed murder, which have prescribed armed robbery, for instance, there is still provision in that law that protects the suspect of those crimes. And so it is a particular act that we are seeking to prescribe. But the practitioners or suspected practitioners, there are adequate provisions in the bill that will protect them even in the event where they have been found or determined or pronounced by a court as guilty. They still have their human rights that will be protected. And so this law in no way is promoting it. Neither is it going to promote, no shape or form in any way, going to promote mob justice or anything of that nature against people suspected or even determined to have fallen foul of any part of the law we are proposing. So there's adequate provision for protection of everybody's human rights. However, the very act that will be in contravention with the law is what adequate provisions have also been made to prescribe. So no one is in this country. No one is encouraged, even before the coming into being or force of this law, is encouraged to have a mob justice against anyone who has committed any crime or suspected to have committed any crime. And so, even when certain instances of mob justice sadly had occurred, they were not particularly associated with any particular kind of crime. Sometimes it cuts across. So even that is prescribed, and mob justice is prescribed. And in much the same way, any kind of crime, anyone that is suspected or even determined to have been guilty still need protection and an adequate provision in this bill to protect that person.
Someone called Alex from Spinter just sent a message, and I want to know your view on this. He said, I pray we shall see the day when the hypocrisy of our elderly will fall and we will begin to respect the rights of people. What a man does in his room shouldn't be the state's concern unless it infringes on the rights of another. One day we will wake up and wonder why we ended up in this oppressive space or place. What do you say to persons with this kind of concern?
The position of the law is very clear. People have their right to express their views. The interesting thing is that over 86% are people who have determined that as a society, we have come from somewhere, we're going somewhere, we are guided by our rules, our norms, and in any civil society, there are basic principles that guide our identity, our lifestyles, and therefore the adequate laws must be made so that we don't get to a situation where people will just get up and say under the guise of human rights, I feel like I'm a woman. Now the next day I feel like I'm a man. The next day I feel like I'm wood, I'm cat. I feel like I can go and sleep with just anything or anybody of same sex. There must be decency. There must be orderliness. There must be there must be order that is guiding how we have been wired and created as human beings, and therefore matters of sexual perversion, as I put it, must not be condoned as human rights. They are sexual perversions. That is not how anybody is created. And so yes, there are people who have such psychosocial challenges, and then we are making provisions in the law that will offer support to such persons to restore them and to orient them properly. And so such persons thinking that, well, anybody at all can do anything so long as it is in a room. You cannot plan a coup in a room. You cannot do certain things in a room. So we need to understand the matters we are raising in that context, and not lump everything under human rights. To say that this bill, and I say an authority, this bill, no provision in it infringes or violates any international treaty or universal declaration of human rights.
Very well.
That
yes.
Any portion violates the Constitution.
Yes,
and I want the freedoms, the liberties, and the dignity of our peoples are going to be safeguarded by this.
And I want a very quick answer on this. So, can I, for example, after the passage of this bill, call someone who has, an opposing view on the matters to speak to? Will I be allowed to do that by the provisions of this bill?
Oh yes. So that people will say, oh well, I am not gay, I'm not lesbian, I'm not transgender, I'm not this, but mine is to advocate for people that they can do advocacy for promotion of, it's all prescribed, and that is a key object.
So I cannot call somebody to express an opposing view.
You cannot propagate. Neither can you agenda a propaganda or an advocate. Cannot mount an advocacy for the promotion of LGBT and related activities. It's a product of what they preach, of what they advocate, of what they propagate, of what they prefer, and sometimes written and unwritten in various forms. That is what culminates over a period into what society stands for, becomes crystallizes into societal practice and value. And therefore, we need to safeguard all aspects to ensure that we have the sanctity and dignity of our people intact.
Very well. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much, Reverend Ntim Forjo, Deputy Education Minister, and also a key proponent of the so-called anti-gay bill. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Your comments have come in, and we'll read some of them after this break. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how's your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
This is a bank, First Atlantic Bank. A shiny purple star to brighten up my day. First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different services all day long. First Atlantic Bank, and it feels so cool. I know this is where I belong. Come on, everybody, this is a bank like no other. First Atlantic Bank. Follow me, let's go now. Let's go, let's bank. This is a bank like no other. Let's bank. This is a bank like no other. First Atlantic Bank.
First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. A few of your messages that have come through. I'm so glad that the 275 MPs are all in support of the passage of the anti-LGBT bill into law. Kudos to Honorable Sam George and his colleagues. That's from Babamu in Tamale. Alasani in Tema says, good evening, Salam. Ghanaians don't like same-sex marriage. So why are they still discussing that thing? We are sending warning to them to stop any law that encourages same-sex marriage, most especially the Muslim MPs. You say, Bana Chairman in Tamale says, our parliament must do everything possible to pass the anti-gay bill to secure the dignity and sanctity of Ghanaians. Now, let's go back to our very first story, where the members of the National Food Supplies Association are protesting at the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company. The aggrieved workers began their protest yesterday with some spending the night at the place, defying all conditions. The suppliers, who are about 275, are demanding the payment of 2 years arrears owed them by the Buffer Stock Company for food supplies made to some senior high schools. So we've been joined on the line now by one of the persons who are participants in this particular protest. Actually, the spokesperson of the National Association of Food Suppliers, Kweku Amedume, to help us appreciate what their current situation is. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. How much exactly does the state or does the National Food Buffer Stock Company owe you?
Good evening.
Yes, how much are you owed in all?
The money is about 270 million Ghana cedis.
And what has your engagement with the National Food Buffer Stock Company produced? What have you been told? What assurances have you been given? Have they given you a timeline? Is there a payment plan? What exactly have you been told?
I no longer regard the things they have told us as assurance. They are just things that were not meant, or they were not intended to be what they meant. They made us believe, because over the last 2 years, it's been the same story. It's been promises which never saw the light of day. And so, as for the promises, as for the assurance, we are fed up. All we are looking for is our money to be given to us.
Is it a case that some of your members or some food suppliers are paid or being paid whilst others are not paid or being paid? Because we know that the schools continue getting supplies from some of your members. So what's the situation? Is it that everybody is not being paid, or just those of you, or 275 of you, are not paid? Is that the situation? What was the situation really?
Thank you very much for this very question. The issue is when the free SHS started, we started with free SHS. We started with buffer stock, and we were supplying the food stuff to buffer stock. We did that from 2017, they were paying, 2018, they were paying, 2019, they were paying, 2020, they were paying until 2021, where there were some difficulties from government side. So in 2021, we paid just the minute parts of what we supplied. But because we had done supplies with them over the years, we built some confidence and trusted that perhaps they had run into difficulties. And so when they asked us to continue supply, we did. In 2022, the entire year we supplied. Government never gave us a penny, a dime. In 2023, when we were demanding, we were pushing, they were not giving us. Until 2023, they invited us into a meeting where they convinced us again once more that government was trying to put some money together for us, so we should go and do some emergency supplies for government, and that they were they're putting our money together. So by the time we finish supply, they were going to give us our money. We complied and did the supply. We tried to make government to pay us, all to no avail. Until recently, when the minister told us that he had released 90% of what we were chasing through the buffer stock. So he was surprised buffer stock didn't give us the money. So we came back to buffer stock for quite a while. Our money was not released to us, when indeed that money had been given to him. The only answer he had for us was that he had used portion of that money to defray a loan that he procured on his book. That was why he's not been able to. And it's quite shocking why such an answer will be coming, because we know buffer stock is it's not a revenue generating enterprise, and that for it to be able to have a good profiling, to be able to convince any banker, that would have been a confusion. But we are not interested in those things. We are only looking for our money. So we asked when our money is going to be given. No proper answers were coming until recently, when we discovered that indeed buffer stock has gotten money now and has contracted people outside our association, and they are the ones doing supply. But in this case, they are able to manage to raise money as soon as you deliver and submit your invoices. You are paid promptly. There are cases that people are even giving advance money before the goods are procured, and our money is still with the government. At the time difficulties arose, at the time the government was going through serious challenges regarding the payment, we were the one government or buffer stock fell on for delivery of those foodstuffs to the various schools. Now government has money, personal interest, chronism has engulfed the entire managers of the buffer stock institution. And so they have decided to do business with other people. And those people they are doing the business with don't know where to even source for the goods. They rather come to us for guidance and directions as to how they're going to get the good supply. This is our problem.
I see.
This is why we're not living here today. This is why we're going to be here till our money is paid, because we just discovered the government indeed has the money, but the insensitivity of the people managing these state institutions are what the insensitivity of those people managing these institutions are the reasons why we are in this mess we are today. With this money that we used to do our business, we took those monies from the bank. We also owe. We need to also go and settle out our creditors. How on earth would you be telling us that you have used our money to go defray your loans? If a state institution is afraid, is scared, and is in a hurry to go and pay its obligation or bank its loans obligation with the bank, how much more we individuals who have used our collateral to secure loans for the purpose of satisfying the ambitions or the objectives of that same institution. It is unfair. It is totally not fair. It is totally not justifiable. And we can only appreciate the space the media has given us, attention the media has given us. We can only ask for more as Oliver would aspire for. We can only ask for more, that please place calls to these state institutions and ask them that this is the assertions that we are making, and you should solicit some response from them. As for we being here, we have already come and we are not leaving. Nothing will change our mind to live here until our monies are paid.
I see. So you're also sleeping there tonight, of course. Some of you, did you sleep there last night yourself, or just some of your members?
I did.
You slept there last night. So in the morning, you woke up, went home to freshen up, and you are back. Is that the case? Or you've been there since last night?
I've been there since last night. I just left around 2 o'clock to go and take my shower and just go back.
So when the workers of the company came to see you guys sleeping around the premises, what did they tell you? Were they surprised? What did they tell you?
No, nobody has ever spoken to us ever since we came here.
Oh, you've not had any official communication from the company, to you?
No.
I see. All right.
And that has been the case always for the last 2 years. They don't regard us. They don't respect us. We've been chasing them many times we come. It's excuses upon excuses. There are times we come. And the Buffer Stock CEO will tell us that we should all drive together with him to the Ministry of Education to go and ask why our money has not been settled till date.
Very well.
Get there, we will drive there and will not find the Buffer Stock CEO. He will vanish into a thin air. And we've been going through all this. There are times you come, they will tell you he's going to make a wait. When he comes back, they will settle your money. We've been doing that. And now money has come. They have gone to pick different people and you're working with those people. This is not tenable at all. This is totally unfair. This is chaos.
I see. We wish you the very best, and we hope that soon your challenges are addressed. Thank you so much, Kuku Ahmedume, spokesperson for the National Association of Food Suppliers. Akosia has another story.
The National Democratic Congress is accusing the National Identification Authority of data suppression by not making the registration of the Ghana cards accessible in many parts of the country. The party's leadership claims says this move is an act to deny a lot of voters access to vote in the 2024 general elections. Here's Deputy General Secretary Mustafa Gbande speaking to Citi News.
My checks show that NIA is in certain regions undertaking what they call Premium Express Service. And the Premium Express Service, you are required to pay about 280 Ghana cedis before you can be given a Ghana card.
I thought that to how much they charge goes with those who have misplaced or coming to make some effect changes or...
No, that's for emergency registration.
But not for acquire.
No, that's for emergency registration and acquisition. Okay. But because you need it immediately, they does it express, and then you have to pay 250, 280 Ghana cedis in this economy where people cannot even get food to eat. At this time where the issue of Ghana card has become so important, how do we then say that it's a public service, it's a public document, when the whole intent of the institution that is supposed to be given that service is rather to make profit? Now, we are saying that the NIA is only engaged in an exercise that is geared towards preventing Ghanaians from registering for Ghana card. Number two, we also feel that the NIA is deliberately doing that to allow for data suppression, so that if it becomes the only document for registration to acquire a voter ID card, then that data that has been suppressed would have affected the election of 2024.
That was Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Mustafa Gbande. Now, Minister of Communication and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, has underscored the need for legislative instruments to empower the National Information Technology Agency to discharge its mandate of implementing Ghana's IT policies. The minister says the absence of legislative instruments over the years has hampered government's digitalization agenda. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of a stakeholder engagement to discuss the draft content of legislative instruments, Esla Akufo said more will be done to place the national digitalization agenda at the heart of the country's ICT ecosystem.
Just like the Attorney General is the legal advisor to government, we see NITA as the ICT advisor to government. Not all of us are experts in this area. So we've left it for the service providers to dictate the pace of our digitalization without the policymaker determining the how and the when and the what. It is as if people come up with products and we say, it's a good idea, let's do it. But is it part of the implementation of your own policy? And is it in line with your own objectives as a government? That gap has also been identified. And this is where NITA should be the heart of the ICT ecosystem and see that everything that we're doing is in line with the implementation of the policy that we have decided will guide this process. So we've finalized the digital economy policy, which is an improvement or an enhancement of the ICT for accelerated development policy that was passed in 2003. We now have a draft digital economy policy, which is going to cabinet for approval and should be outdoors. So we've done extensive stakeholder consultation and got their input on it already. So that is done. Now, NITA is the agency that is supposed to implement these policies of government. How are they going to do that? And that is where these allies come in, to indicate how these ICT policies of government will be implemented, monitored, and how the various agencies should work together.
Esla Akufo is Minister of Communication and Digitalization.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. It's time for Citi Business News, but let me share a few of your messages with you before. Prince Nuruddin Baumia in Boku says the CEO of the Buffer Stock Company should please find an amicable solution to the plight of the suppliers. The premises of the Buffer Stocks shouldn't be a place of abode for the suppliers. Prince Herring Koforidua says, good evening. The Nana Ado Baumia-led MPP government only thinks about what they can do to win power, not what will favor or make Ghanaians happy. People who have supplied food to various SHSs haven't been paid their monies, yet we are building needless cathedral and procuring laptops, you say. So the government doesn't take them seriously, and they shouldn't supply until they are paid full time. This other one says, Alan in Chantan says, I hope the National Food Buffer Stock Company has been providing places of convenience for these people. That's an interesting one there. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Up next is Citi Business News. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This July, get up to 50% off Electroland Ghana Limited products. Massive Discount Bazaar is on again. Get massively discounted electronics and home appliances
from Electrolux, Samsung, Media, ABB, Nasco, Homeland, and good news, Toshiba is having a clearance sale.
From Friday to Sunday, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July, 9 a.m. each morning at Coca-Cola Roundabout Spintex. Items are a mixture of brand new, slightly used, scratched, showroom display, repaired, and dented.
Call 050-315-9739.
EGL, home of electronics and affordable luxury.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Hello and welcome to Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by citibusinessnews.com. I am Akosia Ocho. Let's settle for details of our stories now. The Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Mohammed Amin Adam, has announced the government's plans to set up 1,000 electric car charging stations across the country within the next 5 years. The decision, according to him, comes as Ghana experiences a growing number of electric vehicles on its roads, with over 100,000 already in operation. Addressing attendees at the Climate Finance for Sustainable Transition in Africa conference, Mohamed Amin Adam emphasized that the establishment of the necessary charging infrastructure is crucial to promote the widespread adoption of electric vehicles.
And we are hoping that over the next 5 years, we should be able to build about 1,000 electric charging stations so that we provide the infrastructure to promote the use of electric vehicles. The infrastructure is so critical. If we don't have it, electric vehicles come in. What happens? They cannot operate. And that is where people will find ingenious ways to fire the vehicles. And some of which will even cause problems, accidents for us, because they have to tamper with electric infrastructure. So, Ghanaians, let's sit up. Government is doing its part, and this is why we want to do about 1,000 charging stations over the next 5 years to provide the infrastructure for those who want to bring electric vehicles into the country. There are also regulations that are being developed by the Energy Commission to regulate the manufacturing and use of electric vehicles.
Mohamed Amin Adam is Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. Now, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Kobina Tahir Hammond, has revealed that over 3,000 jobs have been created by some 311 firms who benefited from the COVID-19 response grant. The overall aim of the program was to support SMEs with a high potential of implementing productivity and also competitiveness, enhancing initiatives to accelerate their growth. He was speaking at a Women and Youth MSME program organized by the Ghana Enterprises Agency.
I'm happy to know that some 3,195 jobs have so far been sustained by about 311 firms so created and so supported by the grants provided by the medium for which we are present here today. This is welcoming news. With not only business able to make profit and keep their staff, they're also able to expand and add on new staff. Not bad at all. I am told that about 66% of the beneficiaries indicated in a survey that average values of their gross sales increased by approximately 4%. Not bad at all.
That was Minister of Trade and Industry, K.T. Hammond. Now to some exciting news. The biggest trade exhibition in the country returns this August. Hundreds of exhibitors are expected to gather to showcase indigenous products and services under this exhibition. If you do not know that grand exhibition I'm talking about, then the annual Citi TV Citi FM This is Ghana exhibition. The 2-day event is scheduled for August 26 and 27 at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The fair will see the assembling of local SMEs, startups, homegrown businesses, innovations, and also indigenous corporate body for the thousands of patrons. Here's Chief Executive Officer of Citi TV, Samuel Atamensa, speaking about this year's expo on the Citi Breakfast Show.
This is Ghana is where we bring together all made in Ghana business tourists to come and business cases to tell their stories. So you have people in services created, crafted in Ghana by indigenes or Ghanaians. You have products manufacturing, production in Ghana, innovation and services in Ghana. And innovation and services, manufacturing machinery, plant and equipment, automobile. Last year we had automobile companies, we had research companies, the CSIL, they were all there. And this year we are taking it a notch higher. All the services owned, crafted, promoted by indigenes, we are giving this platform for them to come and showcase what they have.
Or do also attend the This is Ghana exhibition happening on the August 26 and 27 at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. But that was Samuel Atamansa, Chief Executive Officer of Citi TV. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Akusia Ochre. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy.
Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that?
Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer.
Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman Mane.
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome to Point Blank segment of the Eyewitness News. News to the top of the hour. On Point Blank tonight, we bring you excerpts of the debate in Parliament on the LGBT bill.
Important bill. I will wish we didn't witness some of the scenes. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said. I do not intend repeating or rehashing them. But, Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important matter. Mr. Speaker, page 5 of the report, object of the bill. The object of the bill is as contained in the memorandum accompanying the bill is to provide for proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values, proscribe LGBTQ+ and related activities, proscribe propaganda of advocacy for or promotion of, and they have a long thing, LGBTQ, IAPP, and all that. Mr. Speaker, it's important we focus on this matter. A lot has been said, emphasis on our cultural, our moral values as a nation. Very well articulated by honorable members. But, Mr. Speaker, I want us to draw attention to this. All that has been said is wrong. It's been in the Bible all these years. It's been in the Holy Quran all these years. Our moral values are known. Then why are we now expecting to expand what is in our laws and then bring such an important bill and pass it to law? Why? It is because of the promotion and advocacy of those who believe in this madness. That is the issue. That, for me, is the issue, Mr. Speaker. The issue is not repeating that homosexual is madness. It is total madness. The issue is not, it's against our culture. It's important. Let's repeat it. Let's remind our people. I agree 100%. But I'm saying that the danger is the promotion and the starting one. That is why in this report, the committee did very well to talk about what is happening in Hungary. Right, Honourable Speaker. Paragraph 77.2. They say that Hungary anti-LGBTQ legislation is targeted at children, even if they say below 18 years. Adults are allowed to engage in same-sex marriage. But they say this, the key elements in the Hungary legislation are the prohibition of all forms of advertising, publication, and public education, which purpose to propagate or portray divergence from self-identity corresponding to sex at birth. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. For me, this is the danger, because you may have a teacher in your child's school who may subtly be promoting this. Don't say he, don't say she, don't say this. And subtly they'll be doing that. What about shops? Who will be using all these gay colors? And so you have a baby, you are going to buy a diaper and there's a color on it. These are the subtle, dangerous things that beyond passing this bill, what do we do as a nation? I was so happy when last of this week asked the question that if there's anybody against this bill, he should speak. And for the first time, all 135 members of Parliament, of Ghana's Parliament, we are supporting this bill. And that is wrong. But let's go even beyond the passage of this bill. Because others are described as madness. I will add that it's a satanic force. And let's not underestimate this satanic force. They will come to us and participate in so many ways. And for me, therefore, the bill is passed. I mean, it's law. And we are passing it. I was advocating that we shall really spend 30 minutes and let it be said that when this thing came to Parliament of Ghana, within 30 minutes, we agreed and passed it. That's what we should have done. But I can understand people who all want to contribute, so we are taking some time to contribute. But I'm saying that beyond this, again, I'm referring to page 16 of the report. In quoting what happened in Hungary, under the legislation, parents have the sole right and responsibility for the emotional, physical, and spiritual development of the child. And it is so important that we come on this path, especially the propagation. Somebody can be on a radio station and he can pass a certain comment. He may not blatantly be promoting LGBTQ, but they will find a way of still trying to indoctrinate the society, especially our children. I am saying that we may not be able to capture everything maybe in the bill, but there should be a conscious effort on the part of society. Let us not just celebrate the passage of this bill into law, but beyond that, there should be eternal vigilance, because, Mr. Speaker, it goes against everything of our society. And we should exercise eternal vigilance to make sure that all that we have said, this bill is passed into law. It will be done, or it is done. But beyond that, let us exercise eternal vigilance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very, very much. Honorable former Majority Leader, I'm watching my time. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Please, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have just 2 concerns or observations to make. And it's going to be different from the arguments that we have canvassed this afternoon or evening. But before I mention them, Mr. Speaker, let me put on record my commendation and gratitude to the honorable members who had the vision and the determination to bring this private members' bill to Parliament. It has involved a lot of hard work on their part, a lot of research and sacrifices. And I think that we need to commend the honorable members who have been able to bring this bill. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, let me also place on record the gratitude of myself to the Speakership for the support that you have given to this bill and have brought it this far. Now, my first observation is this, that This bill has a national appeal. This bill has attracted the attention of everybody in Ghana. And this bill is dedicated to protecting the values of the Ghanaian families, etc. So against that background, I thought that that background and the interest that we have gathered, this afternoon we heard that all the 275 members of parliament in this August House support the bill. So therefore we all support it. Against this background, I thought that it would have been very useful for the government, the president, to adopt the bill, to link up with the honorable members who are bringing this private members bill, having regard to the challenges associated with private members bills, which I will show shortly, and then to have adopted this bill with the consent of these honorable members. If they had done so, then the perception by some people that, oh, the president or the government of the day is not interested in this bill and the rest of them would have been matters of the past. It wouldn't have arisen at all. But we haven't done that. And Mr. Speaker, I'm saying so more so against the backdrop of the Attorney General's advice we wrote to the committee in October last year. The Attorney General's advice or document is dated 19th October 2022 that we wrote to this August House. And then at page 17, in his conclusion, page 17, item 2, he said, the bill is a private member's bill, subject to Article 108 of the Constitution. A private member's bill should not, for purposes of Article 108 of the Constitution, have any financial implications on government. However, the bill is indicative of financial implications, unquote. That this bill is indicative of financial implications. This is what he said. Against this background, Mr. Speaker, if we do not resolve it and we pass it into law, then the technicalities, the legal implications will come to play. That yes, we pass the law, but we cannot implement it because it has financial implications. It will undermine the work, the industry that we have put into this bill. That is why I'm drawing the attention of government that we should not wait until we pass the law and cannot implement it. They should at the end of the day adopt this and then make sure that we implement it. Because we have so many institutions in Ghana with good laws, and yet lack of resources, they cannot implement them. That is the more reason why I said that they should have done so. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying so more so. In 2012, when late President May was in office, American delegation from Congress came, and they visited him, and they asked him whether they would not pass a law legalizing gayism and lesbianism. He said that under his leadership, Ghana will never do such a thing. That was very positive. Everybody understood it. And if the government of the day had done the same thing by adopting this bill, I think that it would have solved some of the perceptions that they have had. And lastly, if you look at the object of the bill, I will argue this during the time of the consideration stage. The object of the bill, and that I think that we should be looking at. Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity given me. Commend the private members for this motion, and so everybody for the support.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I will now come to leadership. Leadership, can I control your time? If I'm permitted, then I'll give 5 minutes to each leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I must also thank the distinguished minority leader for giving me the opportunity to speak on his behalf. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I was a bit sad, but God will always be God. What just happened here is what is happening outside the chamber. And therefore, the problem or the defect that the passage of this bill seeks to cure is what we have seen here. Mr. Speaker, what am I saying? There are no timelines that can work me by 100 years, 200 years. LGBTQ bill is going to be a right. No, there can never be a timeline. And let nobody there put a timeline. Mr. Speaker, I must also continue from where the veteran former majority leader ended. That His Excellency the President should have considered adopting this bill to be a government bill. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first of its kind. During the third Parliament, and that was during the reign of His Excellency John Ajekun Kufuor, the Institute of Economic Affairs initiated a private members bill, same like this, and that was to cure a defect in relation to domestic violence bill. His Excellency adopted that bill from Mr. Speaker,
honorable member, address me, and you have
former President John Ajekun Kufuor, seeing very well that what was started as a private members bill, and that is the domestic violence and victim support bill, was for the good of the country. He adopted it from Institute of Economic Affairs, that is IE, and it became a government bill. And that is what we now have as a Domestic Violence Act. So, Mr. Speaker, why am I saying this? It has happened before. There's precedence. And therefore, seeing that there's a consensus in this House, almost all the 275 MPs are speaking in support of this bill. Mr. Speaker, we should not further belabor the point. It must cease to be from a private members bill and become a government bill so that everybody will have the confidence. Mr. Speaker, why are we here? We are representing the good people outside this chamber. We are representatives. And tell me which MP sitting here will go to his constituency and they will not urge him to come and make sure that this law passes through. Mr. Speaker, I've gone through the report. And if you look at the argument against the bill, what they are saying is that, inclusive society promoted, and therefore this LGBTQ is a portion of the right of democracy. Mr. Speaker, if when we were passing the 1992 constitution in this country, when Ghana went into a referendum, the Ghanaian public were told that we were going to practice constitutional rule and that LGBTQ was going to be part of the rights. Mr. Speaker, I bet you this constitution wouldn't have seen the light of the day. This is not what we told them. We told them we were coming to protect their values and rights and all those things. We were coming to make sure that the rights of the weaker ones were protected, but not to accept LGBTQ. Listen, Mr. Speaker, even here, when somebody is being mentioned that you can see what will happen here. Nobody wants to associate with it. So, why is it that nobody is even feeling free? If you even to mention its name, people are scared. So, the bill must go through, and I do totally agree with the Honorable Minority when he said the committee should have agreed that the bill be passed under 119. That's on a certificate of urgency. I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, but we cannot debate this bill without recognizing the valuable contribution of the initiators of the bill. I've gone through the report and what the committee has written. Mr. Speaker, how did the bill begin? It began by the prominent personality, Apostle Professor Opoku Yina, the former chairman of the Church of Pentecost, and lawyer For Amwani. For Amwani is the General Secretary of the Coalition, and Apostle Professor Opoku Yina was the chairman of the coalition. They saw the need that what was happening in the country was not in good taste, and therefore something must be done about it. They organized themselves into coalition and then throw a helping hand and reach out to the president of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship. That's Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Beja. That is how the link began. So when you present a report, and Apostle Professor Pokun's name is not even mentioned anywhere. I'm mentioning IEA today because I was in university by then, and I was following parliamentary proceedings. So you cannot talk of domestic support bill without mentioning IEA. So coalition is mentioned, but the distinguished clergy seated up there, and the imams and chiefs seated there, the traditional rulers are here, the imams are here, and the clergy from all the various churches are here. No single church has separated themselves or disassociated themselves from this bill. Mr. Speaker, who do we represent?
So we had excerpts of the debate in Parliament today on the anti-LGBT bill. That's our program for tonight. My name is Salom Adonu. Earlier you heard Akosi Ochri, show produced by Nana Kwabna Welson and Sami Wiafi, as well as Bevelyn London. Technical assistance has been given by Daniel Squashi. Up next is Face to Face. Have a good evening.